You're now at the intersection. It's 8 a.m. and we're glad to have you here. We're going to have announcements for about 5 minutes. That way more people will make sure to get to the screen to hear as much of your efforts at the food bank as possible. So announcements. Couple of things I've been sending out. This coming week, Father Greg Boyle is going to be in town. He just like a month or so ago received the Presidential Award of Freedom, I think it's called. And he's a Jesuit priest, I think, out of California and started Homeboy International. And anyway, he's going to be at Oblate Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at their Summer Institute. And anyway, I hope people know about that and come to that. And I do have a discount code to that. Meals are provided and things like that, but there is a cost for the Institute. So I will put that information in chat a little bit later on. We've got so many exciting things coming up. There's a new couple new resources coming out of Compassionate USA. One is a mayor's guide. I would even say a leader's guide to becoming a compassionate city, as well as a community action menu. All of these developed here in San Antonio. So that's on June 26th. It's no cost, online, and Mayor Nuremberg will be with us in that webinar to talk about those two new resources and how they could be used in our community. I'll post that in chat as well. And any other quick announcements, and there are other things coming to mind, but we have Pathways to Hope coming up August 23rd and 24th, and the registrations are already rolling in. I think this is the most we've ever had with this amount of time before. What do you think, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, it's right up there. We put the registration link in the chat. It's free, and we have more workshops this year than we've ever had. Everybody needs to come. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's just exciting what's happening and how it's continues to grow. So any other announcements? For some reason, oh, here it goes. I've just been having, my computer's just a little bit on the fussy side this morning. So I don't know why it's like that. Any other announcements? Oh, there is one. And you should be receiving information already, but there's going to be a summit on our interfaith and multi-faith relationships and our work together here in San Antonio. It's very intentional. July 9th and July 23rd. So the summit has two parts. The first one, we will be welcoming a professor, actually the executive director for the Center of Law and Religion out of UT Austin. So on July 9th, he will be doing a presentation on separation of church and state so that we can come to a better understanding about that. And that's at 6:30 to 8 in the evening. There's no cost, but a donation is asked for. There will be food. And then 2 weeks later, so on July 9th, we'll be hearing and getting clearer about separation of church, civic engagement. We've been practicing it, right, for 7.5 years, I think very healthily, but we're going to hear, from a guy who knows. And then 2 weeks later, part 2 is going to be a community conversation, 6:30 to 8. Again, the Whitley Center at Oblate School of Theology. And we're going to be talking about where are we in terms of the work that we do, exactly what we're doing at the intersection and in our collaborations. And how do we move forward and grow in that? And how do we as a community, as residents, own that more? how do we become the driving force? So mark your calendar, July 9th and 23rd, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Whitley Oblate School of Theology. So now I'm going to move in. I want to share a careful reading of an email I just received this morning. I met Xavier at the All America Summit of Sister Cities International that was held here at the Convention Center just a couple weeks ago. And we had a compassion clinic set up there, and Xavier had a food bank clinic set up. And we had people from North, Central, South Americas come by the Compassion Center and his booth, but also in presentations. There was one presentation called Compassionate Americas, and what would it mean to be that and do that? And I sent out an email yesterday to all the people who attended that panel and invited them to the webinar that's on June 26th to hear about the new resource on the Mayor's Guide and the Community Compassion Menu. Anyway, this morning I got this email and I want to read it all. And then Xavier's going to take it from here. And the email reads, I thank you from the bottom of my heart and congratulate you on this brilliant initiative. Indeed, I am Alexandra Telfort. I chair the Haitian Renaissance Project, which promotes a development project, the future of Haiti through cities. You know the situation of the country, and we want development to start from the cities to arrive at the National Palace, and we cannot do it alone. We base our strategy on sister cities to make the 145 communes of Haiti compassionate, smart, and sustainable. We are already talking with Sister Cities International, and we will be honored to develop a partnership with you in San Antonio that can already help rebuild our cities with compassion. I must specify our approach values the ownership of the community of the project before elected officials with a view to the sustainability of the partnership. Haiti finds itself at a crossroads, and this project is a sure niche towards the restoration of democracy and the construction of the rule of law. I absolutely invite all of you to make history with us, and I anticipate the success of our partnership. Cordially, Andre Telfort. Is that something? I think it's just amazing. And so we're going to start, right here, and we're going to hear from Xavier, who coordinates nutrition education at the food bank. He's going to tell us all about that. And yes, that is not just a background. That is his gym office and studio behind him. So Xavier,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
all yours. I do have the share screen open if you want to use it, but don't feel you have to. So,
Yes, ma'am.
all yours.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Xavier. I'm the Nutrition Wellness Coordinator of the San Antonio Food Bank. We educate 29 counties, and when we do education, our educational topics will be focusing on diabetes, healthy living, as well as strategies about living on a budget. And it brings me so much joy because this has been my second year going on the food bank. And the impact that it's having on the community, that what brings me joy. I almost for a month would teach 45 classes for a month. Population will be around 1,260. Now, when we go educate, we educate the people, basically children, teenagers, adults, and seniors. But when you start educating, you start noticing a pattern of what people really need. And that what drives me, and I just question it. Okay, like time of my seniors, they're facing inflation. Hit the facts, they're facing inflation. Okay, we strategize recipes that they can make that, okay, doesn't hit the wallet that much. We help them and guide them away of the resources we have at the food bank that could help them out. Because let's face it, we're facing inflation. We're facing produce going up. We're facing gas prices, insurance rates, light bill, CPS going up. And that's when they come to me and I tell them, don't worry, the San Antonio Food Bank, it's always there for them. And we have all stuff, all resources that could help them. So when the education aspect about it, that we go educate, we educate them, okay, how you can live a better, healthy lifestyle. A person's doing, you're in San Antonio, what's in San Antonio? Type 2 diabetes. So we have courses that can educate them, okay, how can we better their lifestyle or how we can help them out? Or go to I was at UTSA doing a presentation on living on a budget. You know, in 2019, the students in 2019, how much you're paying for a month would be around 1,600 for a month. It jumped up from 2019 to 2024 over $2,600 for a month, $2,600. So it's affecting the students. So what courses that we can provide for them? We call it living on a budget. There's this misconception that you have to have money to buy all name brands to eat healthy. No, not necessary. There are ways that you come out that you can provide, easy cans, Hill Country Fare. You don't have to buy the name brands. That's how we can accommodate them. That's how we give them tips that they can live and make sure they're taking in the right of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Courses like that. And I encourage them to volunteer, because when you come volunteer for the food bank, you know how many people you're helping for a week? Over 90,000 people you're helping for a week. Now, 68,000 are kids. So we strongly encourage you to come volunteer for the food bank. And it brings me joy because I see it firsthand, when you do it. And that's why I love working at the food bank, because, we're nonprofit. But to me, it brings me so much joy, has the compassion when we get to the people, because when we give them a senior box, and we know some of them were crying to me that they have it. When I'm in class teaching my seniors, they start, thank you for being here. Thank you for your help. And that's what encouraged me to go on and push forward. And some of my students, that's why we strongly encourage you to come volunteer. We strongly encourage you to, give us your time. We appreciate about your time, but bring a nutrition educational coordinator. That's what I love doing, just educating them and giving them tips to better their lifestyle. Now, the one thing that I can say that for my last 2 years of being in the food bank, it brings me so much joy, because you can see the impact is happening in the community as well, teenagers. But when the pattern I'm seeing is affecting seniors as well as teenagers that are going to college and had to pay for student loan debt, and they're struggling, and they're telling me, well, what do I do? What do I do? Well, the San Antonio Food Bank, we can offer you jobs, get ready to work program. We can offer you customer assistance, help you with a woman that's basically a woman that's raising 3 kids and need federal aid. We can do that for you. We have programs that can provide you, you need help with the light bill. We can do that for you. We have culinary, we have warehouse. It's one-stop shopping network that if a person needs help, we can provide that. And that's why I love working for the food bank, and it brings me so much joy. So we appreciate you come volunteer as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Tell me this, I'm guessing that a lot of these workshops are where? Are they at the food bank? Do you go to congregations? How do you set up these
So basically,
things?
if somebody requests a site, educational site, they will talk to the coordinator. That's me, and our coordinator opening that they can come. Okay, I'll come and do a series for you, and that's how the process starts. But it's a good tool to know, because people need resources now these days. They need help. The senior sites, District 2. I come from District 2. and
Mhm.
45 people. I'm going there right now. So if you come with me, you can see what I've out in the field. It's different. That's why I love my staff. Literally, I love my staff. And I tell them all the time, trust me, you're doing God's work. Okay. That's where you got to focus on that, because you may not see it, because most of the drivers, they don't see it because they're just unloading, dropping and going. Or my client services, they're like on the phones. But when you're out in the field and you actually see it in person, it brings you impact. That's why I'm like pushing me. And they ask me, thank you for help. Thank you for being here. But it's like a site wants a coordinator to come out and teach these series. All they got to do is do to the site coordinator, request them, go on our registration food bank. All the information will be foodbank.com.org. If you want to volunteer, you like to register classes, if you need resources, if you need free food, Fresh Track will provide you free food. So if you know any individual that say they're low on money, they just have to register their zip code, and literally in 3 mile radius, they can find a location where they pick up. Or you need a job, or you know someone that's been incarcerated. We have what we call second chances, get ready to work, that will focus on 2 categories. Number one will be warehouse training will be 6 weeks. And then the second one will be basically culinary, will be a 10-week program that they will get a full-time job at the end. That's what we offer. But yes, that's why if I have a chance and opportunity to go out and speak, that's why I try to take it. That's why I want to inform you about everything that the food bank has and offers, because people not aware. Like, I go to these sites that they request me. Oh, I didn't know that you were doing that. And I go, you serious? It's
Mm.
surprising by me. He said, you serious? I go and they say, oh, I didn't know you do that. I didn't know that. Yes, you get free food. Yes, you need help. We're here for you. Uh, it's a shocking, but it's very straightforward when you register with us.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, right? It's
Yes.
health, it's food, it's
Food.
human.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if you have maybe a story of perhaps, someone who's gone through, the health care, health, food, nutrition,
You
and what that has meant for a particular family.
will be my Granada Homes. That will be by St. Fernando's Church.
Mhm.
Now, some of them seniors that I deal with, like, they always had to have purpose in their life. Okay. So I was trying to implement like a program. Okay, how can I fix this? Because they were not getting physical activity at all. The problem is that they have walkers. I already got their health down. They were doing everything correctly. They got the calendars, watching, oh, how much they're taking in. No, they're watching their diet and they're doing well. But when they got to, okay, when they got to the activity part, they were lacking. But when I noticed why, because some are rockers, they can't have a hard time walking. So I asked myself, how can I take care of this problem?
Mhm.
We do gardening work. That's how I incorporate the physical activity. So if you can go to Granada Homes, the second floor, you can see the work that they do. And it gives me joy because they say, hey, I lost weight. Oh, hey, I do this. And the expression that you see from their faces is amazing. Like, that's why I love doing it. It Our nutrition team, we go out, we educate them, and it brings us so much joy. And especially when they remember you. And my kids, I call my kids, so they call me Professor Xavier from X-Men. They keep on thinking me, oh, Professor Xavier's coming from X-Men's coming. And they love it. And they said, I remember you from career day. That's why I enjoy doing it. And guys, if you see it firsthand, then you understand. That's why I push it hard as I can. And I tell my colleagues, hey, I'm not lying. It's really making an impact. Uh, we have a
Great.
question.
Yeah, I see Sonia has her hand up.
Go ahead, son.
Hi, Xavier. It was nice meeting you at the summit. I really
Yes,
enjoyed
ma'am.
that beet juice that you made. Doesn't
Yes.
taste anything like beets. Thank you for joining and giving this presentation. So you're talking about, Professor Xavier, you work with the youth. I have a question, right? With those youth, including I have a 13-year-old that love those hot Cheetos and they love those fries and the sodas and the burgers, and it's been easy for us to feed that in our busy lifestyles. If we're trying, how would you approach in trying to change the diet, and what would you do to get them engaged to, or to get them to willing to want to try these new foods? What type of food, like what could I introduce in the
But no,
diet?
it's not what you can do. It's just it's society's based, be honest with you, you're in the United States. So the environment's different if I would go to France, Paris, if I go overseas, because our portion size, you got hit it from the main point. You come from the United States, what portion sizes are up, crazy. You look at the food that we're eating now. There's a McDonald's at every corner, saturated fat, unhealthy fats, Cheetos, and all that. So I break it down straight out. You got to tell them the truth and go, who's athletes? So I bring up athletes. Now I tell them, do athletes eat junk food? No. You got to get their interest up. That's how I educate what their interest is and how to reach their goal to that interest. So some of my kids, they're track stars. Some of my kids are track athletes. Now, if I tell them, honest, well, if you're eating junk food, is that going to improve your performance? See, that's what trigger. Oh, well, that's true. If I eat junk food, that's not gonna help my performance, right? Yeah, see, and they get it through their head. So what? And I tell them, what do you need to eat to help with that then? Not junk foods. Oh, salads. Oh, good healthy greens. Oh, grains. Complex carbohydrates. That you have to break it down, not in a bad way, but in a way that they're interested in eating healthy to either prove whatever either they're an athlete, either they're a football player, to get their goals. That's why I've been saying that's how I can wean them off that. So I said, you think that's healthy for you? Eat a granola bar, eat a healthy vegetables, and they get interested. Some they get interested, and it just takes time. Because when I meet my sites, how I started off, like a new person comes in, you're not gonna know them. I mean, you're just gonna, okay, what does this guy have to say? Eventually, over time, they get to know you. This guy's dedicated. Oh, he wouldn't stay. That's when you build a relationship with when I'm teaching my class, and that's how I improve their health. Because as a former instructor and all that, it just takes time. So your kids that are eating unhealthy, first you need to target what their interest is. Once you figure that out, you get your dietary, recommendations that you want them to take in, incorporate with that goal, and eventually it worked together. That's how I've been doing it all these years. Hope that answered your question, ma'am.
I'm also thinking about mental health. I mean, I know that there's tons of research around nutrition and physical health, nutrition and mental health. I mean, we just make the list. I'm preaching to myself here, by the way, about the importance of nutrition and how we work, how all those things. So in those nutrition classes, what I like about what I'm hearing is how practical it is. I love the fact too about planning budget. I mean, very practical, action oriented. And from how we have our conversation here, Xavier, very compassionate. So compassion towards self, but then that also builds strength toward compassion towards others. In this nutrition education, do you sometimes go into like the research of what that, I mean, which seems obvious in my head, but I know how important research is to people knowing and understanding why they're doing this. So do you go that direction too sometimes?
Yes. I do. Well, it's been a long time. That's when I used to work for A&M. I did a lot of research work.
Mhm.
My articles will be beet juice. I broke it down, but when you talk about mental health, when we teach a classic course about mental health, it's always necessary to have first thing a buddy, someone to talk to. Okay, you always need that with mental health. Where are they going through? I deal with some people that did that, and the other stuff at least that had trouble. But yes, and we go into research. Everything's key point on target when it comes to mental health, because that's very serious. It does. Well, high school, Jefferson High School, we have a course about that. And the first thing I told them, it has to do with mental health, but first rule, it's always good to have a friend to talk to. If you're feeling down, feeling like depressed, that's the number one tip that I always tell you. And if it comes worse, then you need to go see a certified doctor that will take care of you. But having that buddy system, having somebody that you can go talk to about mental health, or having somebody, a parent, but usually people in high school, they don't want to talk to their parents. But having a friend that you can tell them your problems, that's the way to connect with mental health, as well as the food acts, as well as the nutrition part. But research work, yes, everything would be pulled. We have what we call a program called Chef that targets mental health, and our Chef program will focus on a good recipe to make for mental health, but actually focusing on key points of mental health. But yes, most of the stuff we do, our stuff is research approved. We got it from good sources. Everything's factual information. So as a former instructor, trust me, I know. But yes.
That's great. Doug, we should maybe look at a component, maybe not this year, but for next year on nutrition. He's opened his mic. Doug has thoughts.
Yes, Doug.
One of the things we talk about at NAMI and in mental health classes is diet, exercise, socialization, have that friend. You're hitting all the key points, but people underestimate how important diet is to mental health. It's extremely important because it also affects your brain chemicals, which is a big issue related to mental illness.
Yes, ma'am.
Great work.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm going to take a pause here. For those who need to get on with their day, it's going on 8:30. I wanted to let you all know that next week we're starting a series where we're going to be hearing updates, a kind of a review of all of the collaboratives that have happened in the last 7 years or so, and where they've grown and developed and what they're up to these days, because they have grown and developed. One of those times we'll be hearing from Doug on mental health. And there's been a lot of growth in that area in the last half a dozen years, right, Doug? High five. And but we'll be hearing from all those collaboratives, from immigration, mental health, to nonviolence and the violence prevention that we've been doing in the city, domestic violence. So we're going to just hear a whole series of all that we've been doing collaboratively and be brought up to date. And we plan to kind of make that a menu of that important information, like hearing Xavier this morning talk about nutrition education. And that would be then a part of that menu, so that people wanting to become more involved or knowing where we are in San Antonio and what we're doing around a particular community concern, they can go there and they can get those connections. So that's going to start next week. And we're going to start with emergencies. So we're going to be hearing about what happens when there's an emergency in our city. So like a hurricane, for example. Some of us have lived through some of those around here, and we do extraordinary work when those happen, of helping our neighbors generally from much further away, but that also, impacts us. So we're going to be hearing about that first. We're going to start with emergencies, and then we're just going to kind of go through different collaborations. The longer they've been around, we'll go through them like from calendar years or something. So I hope you join in on that. I'm kind of looking for a catchy title for this series, So if anybody's got one and that's the one it's settled on, I'll take you to lunch. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about that series coming up. And there are a whole lot of things that are posted, I saw in chat, in terms of things that are important, things that are coming up. I'm wondering if, Xavier, if you could put your contact information in chat. So if people wanted you to come to their congregation or their organization, it would make a great, thing to offer for staff, which makes me think about having you come to the Department of Human Services, and we can do a webinar, but for all of the staff. That's about 400 to 500 people. That will make a difference, right? So Sonia, we need to, do that. And so he's putting that in. I can see he's working on it. Are there any more questions or thoughts for Xavier before we thank him and let him also get on with his day?
Well, this is Kelly at the food bank. I just
Yeah, Kelly.
had to find a private space here because my desk is kind of in, we call it the bullpen, big open area. But I've been on site with Xavier, and one of the things that I really liked was I was with him when he was with preschoolers, and the nutrition program has this wonderful, like the full scale of it is really what I like. Was they adjust their curriculum, so they have a preschool curriculum for little young kids all the way through seniors. They do go on site, and it's really, as Xavier said, like that there's a lot happening, that we want to be out in the community, educating about nutrition, fitness, that it's not just picking up food from a distribution or a pantry, but there's a huge education component of the whole person that happens and is available to people that we want to share. So I've been there. He has these cute little aprons. If you have a preschool, they have little aprons that they give out. They made yogurt parfaits. And really, it was the tactile piece of letting the young kids like assemble their own food, kind of invested in that activity, and then invested in eating it because they had made it. And yet, as he said, all the way through seniors and working with seniors and adjusting an activity to fit, maybe them being seated or having mobility issues. So, keeping people physically, mentally, spiritually sound is where we want to be.
Kelly, why don't you, in case some people here haven't met you, why don't you just briefly talk about your role at the food bank? Because
Sure.
it relates to the intersection.
Sure. I'm the Interfaith Engagement Manager, so I work with faith-based groups who are interested and engaged in fighting hunger in our local community. So any kind of, could be a church, mosque, synagogue, any kind of faith-based group, prayer group that is committed to fighting hunger. That's sort of what I engage with them. It could be that they want to figure out ways to help their group volunteer. Maybe their group is unable to come to the warehouse. What can we do for them that would be a good match? Or it could be what's food distribution or a fundraiser. We have penny awards that happen at elementary schools, that, like preschools, at faith-based organizations, all the way through full-scale distribution. So, it's what I always say, developing a theology of food. Like, how do we think about food as touching our faith life? And if it does, how do we live that out? And so that's sort of where like I said, it's a lot of different people doing a lot of different roles, and yet we do overlap. So like I said, Xavier and I were at a faith-based preschool together. So we're off site, but we also have people come here.
Right. Again, the San Antonio Food Bank is amazing. So
Yeah,
holistic.
Today I'm going to be, I didn't wear it today, but I'm going to be down at Haven, which is obviously, we've talked about on the intersection, this huge resource for the San Antonio community. So I'll be at Haven today in their kitchen, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's the first time I've volunteered in their kitchen, so it's going to be exciting.
Oh, my old stomping ground.
Yeah.
So any more thoughts or questions for Xavier or Kelly? Love to hear them. All righty, folks. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. And I want to thank Xavier and Kelly for sharing some more about our extraordinary San Antonio Food Bank. And again, I want to invite everybody to come for our upcoming series on what are we doing and have been doing and how are all those collaborations growing and developing in our city. I think you're going to find out we have come so far. It's just going to amaze all of us. I can't wait. And I keep up on things, but there are going to be things I know we're going to hear that we're going to go, what? We did that? We're doing this? So please come to the series, and it's going to be another beautiful day. Maybe we'll get a little rain, but it's going to be hot. But you know, you're in Texas. Wait a couple minutes. It'll change. Thank you all for being with us, and have great weekends. See you next Thursday, if not before.
Thank you, Xavier. Bye.